I'm Sumawati,
I'm Yovan.
Shamsana, and Dosya.
And I'm Nicholas. And we start from the first part. Let's start the first one. Let's start with the definition of washback effect itself. So what is washback effect? So what the washback effect is an impact or effect that has come with the test that has on the curriculum. So basically, the impact from the test that conduct it called washback effect. Just like coin, guys, washback effect has two sides of its side. The first one is positive side and also the negative side. Let's talk about the positive side first. This happens when a test actually boosts the quality of learning and pushes everyone toward the result goals of the curriculum. In this case, the exam works as a healthy motivator. So actually, the positive effect happens when it can deliver or show the result of the learning process itself. And then there's negative washback. On the flip side, washback turns negative when the pressure of an exam completely ruins the quality of learning and narrows down to the curriculum. So basically, this is just like learn to test or test to learn. That was like the flip side from the positive side. So that's for the definition. Now move to the comparative matrix that gonna delivered by.
Okay, the next is comparative matrix. I would like to explain the comparative matrix of three types of English tests: TOEFL, IELTS, and school-based or teacher-made tests. And the first aspect, which is classroom focus, TOEFL mainly focus on test strategy, drilling, and academic reading and listening skills. Meanwhile, IELTS emphasizes real-life communication, including speaking and writing. On the other hand, school-based tests are more flexible. They can range from active learning to simple memorization, depending on how the teacher designed them. And next is fight and interaction. TOEFL usually has low interaction because students work individually on a computer, which can feel stressful. And in contrast, IELTS offer high interaction, such as class discussion and face-to-face speaking practice. For school-based tests, the interaction level is flexible depending on the teacher's teaching style. Next, student motivation. In TOEFL, students are generally motivated by academic or final goals, but it may also cause anxiety. IELTS tends to create higher and more positive motivation because students feel the like are useful in real-life situation. However, a school-based test can result in low motivation, especially if they focus too much on repetition or grades. And the last aspect is overall washback, or the impact of the test on learning. TOEFL provides good structures, but it can make students feel like robotic test takers. IELTS has a mostly positive effect as it helps students develop practical language skill. Meanwhile, school-based tests are very dependent on the teacher, meaning the impact can be either positive or negative.
So here is critical arguments based on the comparative matrix that my friend has delivered. We argue that according to the foundational washback framework, we think that IELTS is the best among the three types because, as my friend said, TOEFL gives some kind of robotic test, and the test only focus on the grades. But on the other hand, so the first is because IELTS weights all formative skills like listening, reading, writing, and speaking equally. Teacher cannot skip skill as that, and it keeps the classroom curriculum balance, robust, and holistic. There's something called robotic, and the second is it drives interactive teaching, as I said before, because my friend I said that IELTS gives a real life environment, and the live face-to-face speaking model forces question away from boring. As if really it transforms the environment into a dynamic space driven by creative language teaching, meaning students by actually talking. And the last one is we say that IELTS is better among all because it builds high ability, motivation, unlike typical standardized tests that just cause massive anxiety. So for example, like if you're going into TOEFL, you're focused only on the grades and it cause some of the weaknesses like lack of natural or real life environment. And IELTS talks about minor real world needs like synthesizing arguments or navigating conversation. So students stay motivated because they know test prep is directly building practical life skill, not just for or test. That's all about critical arguments.
Now we move to the recommendation that is delivered by Nicole.
Okay, we're gonna talk about recommendation. Recommendation is for improving school-based tests. There's several recommendations. The first one is school-based tests should focus not only on grammar and memorization, but also on communicative skill and real-life language use, like speaking tests or group discussion, role play, and then the next one is teacher can include speaking test, presentation, project, and group discussion to create more meaningful learning experience. The next one is constructive feedback should be provided after assessment to help students improve their English skills. Next is school should provide teacher training on effective language assessment principle. Next is assessment should balance academic achievement and enjoyable learning experience. And the last one is better assessment design can create positive washback by increasing student motivation, confidence, and active participation in learning English. Okay, now we move to analysis question. The question is, does the presence of the TOEFL ITP as a graduation requirement in Indonesian university cause teachers to focus only on structure and written expression rather than speaking? And the answer is yes, absolutely. The TOEFL, there is a point for my answer, so I'm gonna read it for you guys. So, the TOEFL ITP requirement is a classic example of negative washback and curriculum narrowing, because what gets that gets taught. The absence of a speaking section on the TOEFL ITP heavily distorts university education in the following ways. The first one is curriculum narrowing. Since speaking scores don't affect graduation, instructors face systemic pressure to sideline speaking entirely. The curriculum shrinks to focus almost exclusively on structure and written expression and reading. The second one is drilling over communication. So it's like a teaching shift to memorizing formulas and test strategies instead of real communication practice. The third one is the last, fluency paradox. So the students may pass
the test but still struggle to speak or express their ideas orally.
Analyze the question, which is positive versus negative washback. Does the IELTS focus on productive skills like writing, speaking, encourage on communicative operation in which courses? So the first, let's talk about the good side or positive washback, because IELTS tests all for skills equally, especially speaking and writing. Teachers can just do boring grammar drills anymore, like Anderson and Wall said in 1993. The test indicates that the classroom methods, so prep courses, are forced to use CLT or communicative language speaking, making the class super active. And also, since the IELTS speaking test is face-to-face with a real person, the classroom changes completely. As Moro mentioned that in 1986, the test itself becomes a great learning activity. Classes become full of field work and mock interviews. This helps students build real conversational skills and objects instead of just memorizing isolated words. And also we have the negative washback, which is because students are under huge pressure to get high score. Some courses take shortcuts, they just for students to memorize rich writing templates or draw advanced vocabulary out of the text. When this happens, the class is not longer about the real communication, but just mechanical test trick. So to wrap up, IELTS can either build fluency or just turn into a template depending on how it is done. The next.
Okay, for the analysis question number 3, the question is, how does the high stakes nature of these tests affect student motivation? Does the school-based test feel lower stakes? And how does that change how students learn? So the answer is, you can see that there's some points there, so I just kind of concluded for all of you. So in conclusion, high stakes motivates students. High stakes tests motivate students because they have high anxiety. But if there's a low stakes test, they have a high motivation because that is a low motivation, low stakes test. They have a low motivation, but high stakes tests have a high motivation. I want to give an example, just like when people come to a presentation test or writing test that they take it so easy, they have low motivation to work on it. But if there's a high stakes test like final test or midterm test, maybe they're working under pressure and have a high motivation to work it. So that's maybe conclusion for this slide. And for the question number 4, so the question for analysis question for question number 4 is look at Indonesian bimbingan belajar or people culture. How are they teaching students to crack the code of the test rather than learning the language itself? So we can say that we all see that bimbingan culture proves that when an exam carries high stakes but only tests grammar. So it only works on mechanical tests like grammar or mathematics because it's used formulas and shortcuts as like my friend says. They use it to crack the code. So to build real English proficiency, we must stop testing what students can memorize and start testing how they actually communicate.
Alright, with that question analysis, we finally wrapped up our presentation today. Thank you for your attention. Perhaps any questions from friends? Any questions? You guys want to ask something that perhaps unclear for you?
Jelas.
Jelas?
Jelas banget kan.
Make some noise. Jelas?
Jelas.
Thank you so much. That's
Thank
all
you,
from us.
Kak.
Thank you.